I usually run the back end. We'll start that way.
Wait, who runs the back end in this relationship?
That would be me.
Oh my goodness. Great.
Everybody, Joe Ellis here with us. We're gonna have a really fun conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy. Did you see Kill Taylor this morning?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh yeah, I was watching it. I caught I think the last half.
Did you catch Orgy Guy?
Yes, I came in right around that time, and I was like, "This is the best time to come into this channel."
Girl, that was the most amazing conversation that I have ever heard. First of
You've
all,
never been in an orgy?
No,
Oh,
no,
girl.
and I definitely not the devil's orgy. Like that was when I realized what that was. I was like, no, no.
Well, what is it? Because I missed it. I didn't get to see what is the devil's orgy. Did he explain?
2 men, 1 girl.
Oh.
And I'm like, nope. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know where I'd fit in that. Like, do I count? Which one do I count as? I don't know. I'm usually the unicorn, so.
I say your choice. Your choice.
The best part for me was Tyler wanted to know what the ambiance of the room was. Like he wanted to know, like, was the lights dims? Were there? And then Taylor wanted to know what the furniture arrangement was. The 2 straightest guys I know, and they're asking about the ambiance and the furniture.
Tell me about that decor. One person was asking about the smell or something. It's so funny how sensory those dudes get.
It was absolutely amazing. And then I learned about a squirt blanket too. That was I wasn't sure what that was.
ShamWow for jizz.
The more you know.
Shooting star.
Thank goodness
shooting star.
for Kill Taylor, because if you don't know, now you know. You have that show that's going to tell you everything. So.
It's
Kenneth, what's up?
Entertainment and educational.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
are, Kenneth. You definitely are the straightest guy now. You are. That's fair.
Yeah.
Wanted to have you on. Did you see the Hiller Hippensteel video?
I think I saw clips of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, so what I took
Where
away
he
from
confronts him or whatever.
Yeah, or just, and then when he has like they get together and they have conversations and they actually talk about what happened. And for me, the thing that resonated the most was that he went to bed one night, just a regular person, and just had his group of friends and his group of people that followed him, and then woke up the next morning and he was trending all over the CrossFit space, like everywhere on IG. Hiller made a video. There was like 80 or 25,000 people seeing this video, and you're like, holy crap, what just happened to me? You know what I mean? Which is what I think Alex Gazan kind of just went through.
Yep.
And so
yeah, she did. Yeah.
And so it was on a so much bigger scale. Like I read about you in the Post. I remember reading about you in the New York Post. And then I remember seeing the clips online of you being like, I'm not dead.
It's weird to wake up and read that you died. It's an interesting experience. The CrossFit space is interesting because it's like a micro community. So when things blow up in the CrossFit space, it's huge, but only to CrossFitters.
Yeah.
And so while that is really intense to wake up to for Alex or for Hippensteel, I'm sure it was different for me to just wake up to CNN, the whole world. I had people that I know that live in Amsterdam, like saying they saw me on the news and like messaging me to see if I was alive. Like it was insane. Like it reached everywhere. I was #2 in the US on Twitter. I'm sorry, X. You can't dead name Elon Musk's babies anymore. I don't know if you know that. Well, except for one. He has a trans daughter. You can dead name her all you want, but not his X platform. Yeah.
You were, it was so crazy. You were actually being talked about on like Piers Morgan.
Hi, Sev.
Hi, Sev. I'm so glad you're
Thanks,
alive.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on real quick.
Yeah,
so it literally was like from 0 to millions. Like there was no, like, did you have a presence in in the space, in a space, and then this kind of took you to a whole nother level, like not even on YouTube, anything like that?
Not really, and I think that's what caused the rumor to go so far. It's because when I was coming out and I still serve in the military, so when I was coming out, I was very protective of my online presence, and I had like layers of obscurity. So like my Instagram used to be a different handle and a different alias, and um, pretty much everything post transition was obscured for protective reasons because of stuff like this, because trans people get targeted all the time. And so I had no presence, which I think that's what made the rumor just keep spreading, is because no one could easily confirm if
Mm.
I was alive. Most people found my Facebook, which was heavily locked down. And so I saw thousands of message requests in there. And I got a call from the Daily Mail, and which I've never spoken to anyone in the Daily Mail before.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, like, I'm surprised you answered. Do you know what's being said about you online?" And I Googled myself, which I never thought I would do. And I saw that it was just all over the place, like crazy stuff being said about me being a trans terrorist who, committed a murder suicide. Some of the folks, when they were doxing my accounts, discovered that I was converting to Judaism. And so, like, I think the idea of a trans and Jewish person got the online mob so hard that they just started like coming all over the keyboards. It was insane, and like the reason why I say that is because I don't think they could retract their lies fast enough because their keyboards were all sticky. It was such a good story for them, you know.
Well, Sousa found your MySpace, so
Oh,
that's
jeez. Well, that would have been very old. That would have been very
Do you
old.
know why they confused you? Were you supposed, like, what was it? Did you have a name close to the person's name? Was that it?
No, what happened is I used to work for a CNN contributor as an IT person. His name was Michael Smerconish, and I worked for him and his website. And he reached out to me because of the trans military ban and said, "Hey, I know you're trans. I know you're still serving. I would love to humanize this issue and show people what kind of person is going to be kicked out, because I don't think many people know, the type of person that serves in the military that's trans." And so I wrote an essay for his website, and it was a coincidence that he published that on the day of the DC crash.
oh
And
wow.
Oh,
so Virginia Black Hawk pilot Joe Ellis was like fresh into the world,
Mhm.
but then there was no social media behind it. So somehow they turned that into, this is this person's manifesto, and they were mad at Trump and wanted to go commit suicide. And
Wow.
nothing in that essay said anything negative about the administration. In fact, it just kept saying how I really want to serve and keep serving my country. So it's just funny how people will just twist anything for clicks.
And it's got to be really shocking to hear people like create a story about you, or twist your words so much to something that you're not, and to someone that you're not, and it literally had nothing to do with the words
Right.
that you were saying. You're missing the point, but you're taking my words, my your journey and being in the military and serving in the military and being proud of that, and still wanting to, and twisting it so much that people are like attacking you. That has to be so strange to feel that.
It was overwhelming. It was like whiplash that weekend, and whiplash, happens quickly but does leave lasting injury. And so it was very strange because I posted a proof of life video saying, "Nope, nope, I'm alive. I really am,
I
you know,
remember that.
yeah, I really am this person." And that sent them in a whole new direction of how I made that video ahead of time, and I'm taking the fall for someone else's like conspiracy. And then it became, well, okay, you're not the pilot, but we don't like that you exist. So then I started getting like death threats and stuff for being just a trans military pilot. And it was interesting because like the MAGA community started like fracturing. Like there was one coalition that was like, "No, this is a veteran. We should respect this person and not attack them." And then their fans were hating on each other, and it was like watching like this whole thing in the Reddit sphere like burn down. It was pretty funny.
And that was during a time too, right, where uh, they were talking a lot about the manifesto of the trans man. I mean, she looked like I don't know, but that had shot up the school. And so they were waiting for her manifesto to come out, and that was a big conversation that was happening at the time, and we were all freaking out. So when I read the story about you in the newspaper, and then I went online, and I was like, "Oh, no, this isn't what you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Because you were going, you were kind of going, because there was a lot of school shootings that had happened that involved a trans
Right.
shooter, and
Well,
so
there was a lot of lies about school shootings that had trans shooters. So I don't know if you realize, but most of those rumors turned out not to be true. Um, a lot of the school shootings, a lot of tragedies lately, people are jumping to the conclusion that they're trans, setting Teslas on fire, you name it. Like the woke right is obsessed with saying it must be a DEI or trans person. And so because the president, right after the crash, the same night, or maybe the next night, right before I got named, he said that this is DEI and I know it's DEI, but
yeah,
then
I remember that.
didn't say what it
Yep.
was. So instead of mourning as a nation, with I had lost basically my brothers and sisters in arms. We lost 67 people on that jetliner.
Yep.
Instead of mourning that, the whole internet decided to go on a wild, goose chase to find this DEI person responsible for the crash. And so they found me as like their first course. And then once I showed them that I was alive, they figured out, or they released the name of the actual pilot, and they drug her through the mud and said, "Oh, she's got ties to the White House. She has no experience. She's only got 500 hours." 500 hours is 5 years of experience, and that's considered senior to a brand new pilot. So it's just there's so much misinformation with Army aviation. People don't understand how it works. I've actually flown those same DC routes, and I can tell you it's challenging. It's really difficult. Make it nighttime, put night vision goggles on, it limits your field of view. You're stepping on each other on the radios and you can't hear transmissions happening. It's not one person's fault.
And I think that's always the problem that we come to. You always want one person to blame.
Yeah, it's
And
easier.
yeah. And the problem that we had too, and Sev, I see you. What made it hard was the DEI stuff. The fact that all the DEI talk, and they had the California fires. There was DEI talk. There was,
Sure.
all the plane crashes, just regular commercial plane crashes. That was DEI
Yeah.
talk. And so somehow we get lumped in with the DEI talk, no matter what we do.
Well,
But
what's funny is like there's a lot of aviation accidents out there, and no
yeah,
one said anything about DEI before. It's popular right now to say that that's a reason. And now I think we're just getting profiling happening like, oh, if they're not a straight white male, then it must be DEI, where maybe that's some truth in the FAA, maybe that's some truth in civilian aviation, but when I went through flight school, it didn't matter. Like, in fact, women got treated worse than men, and I went through as a man. Um, I had a female, what they call them like buddies or whatever, where you go through flight school together and you fly together. And that was my partner, and she had an instructor tell her, like right to her face, women shouldn't be pilots. And this was 2021. So I don't know where you could say DEI is a thing when they were getting harder questions. They were being evaluated more difficult than I was. I was getting almost a free ride as a dude. And then still, all the evaluations are the same. Like, they don't test you easier because you're a woman or because you're black. Um, because it's the army, it's a meritocracy. So maybe that's true for hiring practices. Maybe that exists in universities, but I just never saw it in the military. And the military would like lose their shit if that was happening. Like, because then it's making things, unsafe. It's like, oh, you're going to give a weapon to someone who's unsafe just because they're a DEI hire? No, that's not how it works.
Well, I wanted to go back because there was something that you were talking about is the separation between you as a veteran and you being trans. And I feel like that for so many people, there is a need to like, you have to have an identity. Like you have to lead with a certain identity. And there's a ladder to what is the most important. And for a very long time, like I used to lead with my sexuality. I used to just like every single person that I knew had to know that I was gay. And it was every part of me. I wore it on my sleeves. I wore it on my shirt. I would like every type of emotion would happen anytime that I felt like LGBT was being attacked or anything like that. And I would just lead with that. And for so long, I kind of took other pieces of myself and put them to the back. Being a woman, being a wife, being a mother, being a dancer, a fitness, name it, whatever it is. And those are who I am. So for you, dealing with that ladder of what is important and how you identify yourself, is it difficult to watch so much of the separation between your two identities and how people are telling you they can't be one in the same?
It's tough, right? Like I came out as trans not to get a new identity, but to live as myself more authentically. I didn't do it to change anything about like my interests or about what I do. It's the least interesting thing about me, but because it's visual, and because I have this voice and I'm tall and I stick out, people make it my identity when it's not. Just like CrossFit is not my identity, just like serving in the military is not my identity. I am Joe Ellis, and I do all sorts of things. I like to skateboard. I like to, eat pizza. Like, yeah, it's just like
Yeah,
I don't
regular
know.
stuff.
Like, I just like
Please tell me you
people.
don't put pineapple on pizza, though.
I mean, I like it, but I don't
Oh,
typically.
man.
Sorry. Sorry. No, like I was big in the CrossFit space for a while too. Like, I got my L1, L2 and was coaching and doing online programming and all of that stuff. And I just like to serve people and help people. And so the military is one avenue that I can do that. CrossFit's another avenue that I can do that. And transitioning just allows me to do that better. Like I'm more effective because I have less bullshit weighing me down. And so many people, they want to put you in a box and they go, oh, trans, they must be liberal, they must be woke, they must be all these things. Like I was out shooting my guns a couple weeks ago. Like
Yeah.
I lean right. Like I came
Yep.
from a conservative household. I grew up homeschooled. My dad worked for Pat Robertson, which is, a televangelist for the 700 Club,
Okay. Yep.
Christian Broadcasting Network,
Yep.
like
Oh, yes.
Yep.
big
Yes.
Mhm.
evangelical like
Yes.
world. And I still carry a lot of that with me. Obviously, some of it I've moved on from, but there's still good values in that. And converting to Judaism, I'm just finding more and more um, good values to add to the tool belt, And
Yep.
so, like, love as Jesus loved. In Judaism, they don't acknowledge Jesus as the Messiah. So, we have many commandments, but one of them is to repair the world. It's tikkun olam, which is the idea of going out and making the world a better place. And so for 6 days of the week, that's what we do. And for one day of the week, we rest, which is Shabbat or the Sabbath, and we appreciate the world for as it is. And so that's kind of like my value system. And what I like to carry forward is serve others, do what's morally right. And I just happen to be trans.
And do you feel like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So do you
No,
feel like in this,
we're both
if
like, oh, I gotta ask you a
if we
question.
weren't
I see this. I see this in myself. Like, I gotta
if
ask
we
you.
weren't living in the world that we're living in right now, do you feel like that your transition would be as big of a spectacle, for lack of a better word? Like, do you feel like you transitioning just would have been for you and your loved ones and your family and and everything else would have just continued on as it is?
Yeah, I think so. We're seeing that with some of the older trans folks that were stealth that no one knew were trans coming out now, to try to balance the argument of kind of the crazy trans rhetoric we're seeing. And so there's some people that like transitioned in the early 2000s when it was really difficult. You never spoke about it and you just tried to blend in. And I think while it's good that it's gotten easier in some cases and it's allowed people to access it, a little bit easier and somewhat celebrate it instead of, hide it, I think there is still a little bit of that integration mindset that we should have. We shouldn't try to be sticking out. We should be trying to fit into the world in our way, that makes sense, without sacrificing your authenticity at the same time. And so I think if this was 2010, I don't think I would have been named as a trans terrorist. I don't think anyone would have given a shit about me. Um, but because of the political environment we're in, it's just different. And I only came out, well, majorly in part because at the time I came out and transitioned, it was allowed to in the military. And so I was like, oh, this is great. Like I can finally come out and still serve because that was more important than coming out was serving. because I've been coping with it for so long, and I was resigned to, like, you know what, I can just keep suffering in my own way and just keep on driving forward, and then maybe I'll transition like in my 60s or 70s, right? Which a lot of people do too. And so I came out because it was allowed, and then of course the administration changed it on me and said, well, now that you came out, you're actually disqualified. So it's kind of fucked up because, like, I call it like bait and switch. It's like, here, you can do this thing and you can keep serving. Cool. And then you take it. It's like, well, actually, because you did this thing we offered you, now you can't serve at
I'm
all.
gonna take it away from you.
So
Right.
I'm like 10 years older than you. So I grew up in the don't ask, don't tell era.
I was serving when it was repealed.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Me too. Um, and so for me, it was that. There was no, when you would walk around in the 90s, early 2000s, you wanted to hold your girlfriend's hand. It was stealth. You didn't do it
Mhm.
outside of the house. You didn't, it took, even when I got with Colleen, it was very difficult for me to show public displays of affection because it just was weird. Like, we just didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then one day in like 2021 or 2022, I woke up and it was like the spotlight was on the LGBTQ community. And I was like, what just happened? Like, we were chill. Like, you could serve openly in the military. You could be trans openly in the military. We could get married. You could change your license to whatever you wanted your license to say. And everything was cool. And then it was like, holy crap, they just sicked everybody on us. And all of a sudden we were getting all this attention for, like, what? What did we do? What just happened?
Well, you transed all the kids, don't you know?
And that's what it was, dude. Like,
Yeah.
nobody, I would never see you on the street and like, or hear your voice and be like, okay, you're a trans woman. I would never disrespect you and call you he. I would never do. I'm I'm happy to what's your name, whatever name you want me to call you, whatever. I'm happy to do that. And then when they started
Going after the
with this,
babies.
like,
Yep.
it's just, for me, it just wasn't how we grew up to figure it out, I guess.
Exactly. And I think most people are like that, right? Like, most people, even non-queer people, are like that. They're like, what's your name? I'll call you that. Like, people who change their names, like, it's a legal thing that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Gender, it's okay, sure. Like, as long as you're putting forth a good faith effort. I think what happened was that self-ID, the ability for anyone to claim the umbrella term of trans, really, like, fucked it over for everybody. Because while it did give people who were genuinely, like, trans access to care that they needed without all the gates, it also gave the ability for anyone to claim it without a background check, without any kind of, like, affirmation to a judge to make sure that, you know, you're taking a serious step, or maybe a mental health evaluation to make sure you weren't also suicidal, or you weren't also depressed, or you weren't also all these things. And as soon as they started, you know, opening up the floodgates for children, and a few gender clinics really fucked it over by, you know, prescribing hormones within 2 hours to some minors,
Yep.
which was the exception. I wouldn't say that was always happening everywhere. It was definitely a couple places
Yes.
were definitely doing it wrong. And, you know, as soon as you touch, you know, the vulnerable and you know, women and children, basically, right? Like, that's what we say first when there's a ship about to sink, is women and children first. So society views them as very vulnerable. So when you see detransitioners that were biological women and had mastectomies and things like that, or you hear about, like, kids getting sterilized, and a lot of misinformation too around that, it caused a huge backlash. And then add sports to that, and you see people clearly with a clear advantage dominating women's sports. While it's rare, and while it's, you know, very limited, and there's some arguments there, it's still like, you can't tell people what they're seeing is not what they're seeing, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I
Yep.
think that caused a huge backlash. Everyone was cool with adults, and they were cool with it. You do what you want. But then they saw, you know, the fear was being sold to them. And then, of course, a lot of people don't know a trans person. So they've never met
Yeah.
someone who's trans. So all they see is this boogeyman that's happening, you know, and only the worst examples being shown.
Whereas
so
they
that's like
weren't
my best
those
guess. Yeah.
those examples weren't happening beforehand. Like
Right.
before all of that, it wasn't. It was just I remember, guys, I'm gonna get to your questions. I do want to let you ask the questions that you want to ask, but I do remember
We have
this.
questions first. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, sorry. I get the questions first.
I thought this was gonna be fun. This
No,
is all serious.
It is. No, we're getting there.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
gonna ask the questions.
There's a couple
and
more
then,
questions,
Yeah,
yes,
and then we're gonna
Yeah,
get out of
please.
this
Yes.
and into the
So
fun stuff.
start your jokes
Yeah,
now,
get
chat.
ready.
Like start all the
Yeah.
shit talking you guys like
Yeah,
to do.
ask all the ridiculous, like,
Yeah.
where does her dick go and all that
Let's-
stuff.
Yes.
Like, we're getting there.
Let's
We're okay. What one of the
Any
questions?
open hole? No.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know, my uncle, he's a really cool person. He leans to the right as well. And pause. God, and I know.
They lure you in with the fun, but secretly, yeah.
No, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, kind of a little bit. But he went out to a bachelor party when he was in, and he's like 60 now, but when he was in his like 20s and 30s, he went out to a bachelor party and was in, like, this girl just entranced him, and he was buying her drinks, he was dancing, he was trying to whatever. And then my other uncle went up to him and he was like, you know, she's trans, right? And he's like, what's trans?
Nice.
And he's like, what does that mean? And my uncle's like, she was a boy before. And he was like, oh, but he's still like, he doesn't hate gay people. He doesn't hate trans people. Did he want to go home with her that night? No, but like, it's not.
And that's fine. Like, it's okay to have a preference. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know why. Like, there's so much wrong with the messaging. We're losing the messaging war. So I'm here to change it for everyone. I'm speaking for everybody now. All trans.
There you go.
I am now your
hat
spokesperson.
on.
The final
Put
word.
the hat
Okay.
on, just
I
yeah.
didn't choose it, but you know,
The life chose you.
Yes.
Like,
well, I do want to get a serious question, because this is something that's
last one, then we
that's,
got to have fun.
like
That's all.
difficult for me to kind of wrap my mind around is this idea that things are as rare as people are saying. Like, you're saying that there are certain situations that are more rare, but there's like a spotlight, and it just seems like there's a spotlight. So for me, it's difficult to believe that things are so rare because it's so big. You hear so many stories, you listen to the news, whether it's the right side or the left side, everything on YouTube, everything on Instagram, everything on Facebook. And one of the things that I asked a friend was, you know, like, advice on how to navigate. And the backlash is like, well, it's not really happening, so stop listening to all of this stuff. But then you do hear the stories of the detransitioners and the beautiful young children that have gone through all of this and what they have to experience. And so, is it really as rare as we want to believe that it is? Or have we gotten to the point where it was rare, but all of those behind the scenes kind of things are actually coming to light, and it's happening more than not?
Well, the tough issue, the HHS put out a review of gender affirming care for youth, and it pretty much said there's not a lot of good data for or against.
Okay.
And so the issue with that is that all you have are anecdotes, and all you have are people like Riley Gaines, like, doxing some poor trans kid who's, you know, running in a, you know, youth sports league or something. And of course it gets blown up, and of course there are issues. We just don't know. And so I think the big mistake that the left made was, I talked about this just the other day on my channel, like, shutting down speech. Like, that is the biggest issue. And in the post-COVID era, I don't think you can do that anymore. No one's got an appetite for it. Like, if you tell me I'm a bigot for asking, you know, why would we want to cut off body parts on a perfectly good human, then you're never going to bring people to the center. You're always going to entrench them into their camps. And so now that the pendulum has swung back and trans people are actually losing access to things that they used to have, it's become really serious, and we have got to start speaking honestly. We got to start saying things like, yes, there are two sexes, but there's also trans people, and they fall in a spectrum, and we believe it's mostly mental. And like, like when you tell people, no, there's more than two sexes, you're wrong, and you deny science, it's like we're not even operating on the same like basic blueprint anymore. And so I think that
Yeah.
just turns people off. And so we got to start having those honest, hard conversations. And it is happening. It's not super common because there's not a lot of trans people in general, but there is, I think, an aspect to it. It is a social contagion that is aligned with especially biological girls and depression and social media. So I think there's certain algorithms like on TikTok and places that will send people down a terrible spiral.
Yep.
And we saw with the iPhone like depression go way up in teen girls.
Yeah.
And so I think if you were to overlay gender dysphoria diagnosis with depression in teen girls, it would look like a very similar exponential chart. And so I think what we have to do is, while before we had too many controls and it was really difficult to get certain people the care they needed, we opened that up and we said, look, we should just believe them, give them the care they need, because otherwise they'll kill themselves, which was also a terrible thing to threaten people with, suicide. That doesn't really work. And so now that we've kind of had this swinging back, I think it's time to rethink some controls, rethink some guidelines, and slow some things down. And then in the really extreme cases where you have a child that is truly suffering and you've tried everything else, there has to be some sort of pathway for them. And so I think that's really where we need to be, is the nuance, of course. But the right says, the far right will say trans people don't exist, they're all deviants, they're all terrible. And the far left will say any person with a beard and a dress is trans and you should let them in the bathroom and they can prance around and record themselves and make a mockery of women, of real women, and let them all into sports. Like, we can't be having those arguments anymore. We have to come to the center and find the pragmatic approach that protects everybody, right?
And have some fun. It used to be fun to talk about. Like, here,
Yeah.
Jake Chapman. Joe, is it gayer to watch straight porn, including a massive hog, or a post-op trans woman with a woman? The post-op trans woman with a woman would be weird.
I think a post-op trans woman is one that's had the vaginoplasty, so like there's no dick involved. So if you're basing your gayness on a dick, then I think the post-op is safer.
They're all basing their gayness on whether a dick is involved.
Absolutely. Everything is dick involved in this chat.
What's funny, I get a lot. So coming out, like, I can really get into some stories since coming out because I've gotten a lot of attention from men. And it's really weird because the only attention I used to get was from gay men. And I never understood what signal I was sending until later I realized I was trans and I came out. But now I get attention from straight men. And it's
weird, right?
It's weird. And it's funny because I know the game. Like, I used to play it. I used to be on that side of the fence. So like when they come up to me and they say that, I'm like, I know what's happening here. Like, I already got this blueprint.
Yeah, I played the game.
Wait,
I wrote the game.
Yeah. But it's weird.
Were you gay in height? Like, were you?
No, I was never attracted to a man.
So okay, this is like the unicorn. That is that. So you're a trans woman.
Yeah.
That's only attracted to, so like Caitlyn Jenner.
Now I'm more like pan or just open to anyone that kind of appeals. So like I'm open to men now, where I wasn't before. But it's like Ryan Gosling. It's a very rare set of men, I think, that fit the bill. But now I'm definitely open to it because it's very affirming, right? As a trans woman to be treated to a date by a man and like, all of that stuff.
So but you're a lesbian.
Like, I'm mostly, yeah. Like I do, like I said, I say more pansexual because like I don't really care if I'm attracted to you and you're interesting.
Oh, this is amazing.
But I
definitely
got
excited. You thought she was on our team, but didn't you?
No, I definitely lean more towards women. Like women are definitely preferred. If in a lineup, it's woman first.
Do you attract? Wait, so do you attract straight women or Joe? I'm also a lesbian. Yes, you are, Jan. You very much are. Do you attract mostly straight women or gay? I can't.
Well, not straight women, no.
gay women.
No, because my wife is straight, and so that doesn't work anymore because she's straight.
Right. So
Yeah.
like her version of, even though you're still intact or whatever, she
It's almost
visually
like the
wants to
genitals
see,
aren't that important.
she wants to see a dude. And yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. She wants a man, and I think what's funny, and this is maybe a little personal. It's funny because all the years we were together, and I was, going through life as a man. I was that unique person that like could talk to her and could like. It's a teaser all the time. I was like, you were just secretly with a woman the whole time, and that's why we worked so well.
Because you were
And
emotionally there for her. You were
yeah, but
able to
now that
understand.
she's dating around, it's funny because she'll tell me these stories of the guys she goes on dates with and like her disappointment or this or that. I'm like, yeah, because you're used to being with basically a chick.
With a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the head anyway, as far as like how
And
I
that's what we do.
acted.
We
Yeah.
emotionally attach to people. That's
Yep.
exactly what we do. Yep. Yep.
It's so it's so funny. But no, like with the men like being attracted to me, it's so strange because
Girl, you're hot. Like it's
well, thank you. My surgeon did well. I had a face surgery, so but no, like it's strange because they tend to want to disclaim right away that they're not gay to me. But then
Yeah.
they'll caveat that with, "Well, I'm not gay, but you're really hot." And it's like they're doing the mental gymnastics of like, "Well, how can I still fuck her? Because I don't like this part about it, but she is attractive and it's still making things happen in my pants that I don't really know if I like or not." So sometimes they get angry, and I think it's because they're angry that I turn them on.
they're still trying to
know.
not be gay. That's the
Mhm.
number one
Well,
thing.
they think it's not gay though. I don't know if it's straight, but it's definitely not 100% gay. Because I, I look the way I
Guys
look,
like
right?
boobs.
Like
Yeah.
like guys
Yeah.
like tits, right? So like like I get it, and that's fine. Like let them figure that out. I think that more people were just open minded.
But we
I
play this
think
game all the time. Like
yeah.
we on our show, like on Chat Appreciation, on whatever, we sit around and talk to dudes, and they'll be like, "Hey guys, is this gay? Like if I do this, is this gay?"
My
Like,
answer is always yes.
like they're like,
Guys will say, asking if you want a cookie is gay. So it's like guys have their own bullshit to unwind where they're so insecure about certain things that I used to play in that world. I used to try to say the things that the guys said. I used to react the same because I was trying to mimic my environment and trying to fit in. And I always felt like I stuck out because I didn't really feel that way or think that way. And so, like, it's sad. It makes me sad because I think men deny themselves some things that they would really enjoy. And I'm not saying like being with another guy, just like in general, like enjoy the softer side of things. You can still be masculine and still like not be afraid of someone being like, "Hey, you want a cookie? Oh, that's fucking gay." Ugh. It's just like stupid.
dude, not dick. The dick and cookie are different.
That's right. That's right.
Hold on,
But
we've had some good questions. Hold on.
I
Yeah.
do well with bi people. So like most bi people, man or woman or trans, if they're bi, then I tend to be the best of both worlds for them.
fair. Yeah.
Some lesbians too, though, but it's weird because then it becomes a genital preference thing with lesbians. Like some don't like that you have equipment, some like that you have it. I've had one tell me like, "Oh no, I like to strap on. I wouldn't want a real one," and I thought that was strange because I'm like, "Well, I'm bringing the real thing in, and you'd rather have a fake one."
I would assume that the lesbians that are good with it are like, hey, it's less work. Like a strap on is so much work to maneuver,
I
and
wouldn't know, but
like
like
you
all
have
can
to you
explain.
have to stop what you're doing to be
You
able
have to
to like,
plan.
yeah,
You have to
there's a lot
for
of shit that goes into that, and I would assume if you do enjoy a strap on, you would enjoy you.
Right,
And
but I guess
with
that you would have to.
less.
I would have to have a bottom then, I guess, because like it couldn't be a
But the other
top,
thing is
right?
too,
Like
we have to be careful because you could technically get us pregnant if it
there is that
messes.
small risk, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, with hormones, it's like blanks.
Oh, it's harder?
But, well, it depends. Like I'd have to get checked to make sure, but it's pretty much like shooting blanks. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that. All right, small shot. Okay,
Well, speaking of the shaft,
go ahead.
what happens to the balls when you transition?
well, I kept mine, so they're still there. They do atrophy, like small, like they just get smaller. I've been told, which makes it easier for like tucking and going out and stuff.
Oh,
Do you always tuck?
Yeah, if I'm wearing clothes that I need to.
Hmm.
You know, I don't. I'm not into the girl bulge thing. That's like an online trend that I just find
No,
cringe.
please don't say that around my phone. Where's my phone? Don't
Where's
say
your
that
phone
around my
set?
fucking phone.
That
Where's
algorithm.
It's
Oh
it's big on
man.
OnlyFans. I could make some money there, but
Okay, and if you don't want to answer this, that's fine. But the tucking thing, can you
yeah,
is that uncomfortable? In my brain, I would imagine it's uncomfortable.
it was at first, but once the hormones kind of did their thing and things got a little bit smaller and just less overall um, activated, I guess is the word to say. I don't know. It got easier. Plus, I have big thighs, so I don't have to have like a really tight tuck because my thighs will like basically it moves the pants out a little bit because my thighs are big, and that hides the crotch region.
She doesn't have to do a tight tuck.
Just to get super technical.
Is there-
So
is
I
there-
wear leggings. So like I have Instagram up of like me like working out in leggings and like
Yeah.
y'all can't tell, right? Like you
No,
can tell I'm wearing.
not even a little bit.
I
No.
wear like basically it's like a tucking underwear. It's like a thong that's a little bit wider, and that allows me to and it's tight and that allows me to wear leggings comfortably and
So there's
work
no more
out and
tape
stuff.
involved. I remember there used to
Tape
be a lot.
that was really early on, I think, in like the 90s maybe.
That's
But
like when we used to do the
or
rapping.
or yeah, or what's drag queens, I think.
Yes.
They're gay men. They're not typically on hormones or anything, so their stuff is still very much semi-hard and out there, and so they have to hide it. But for me, it's a little bit easier. Mine's
David
there if I
Weed.
want it. So,
My TikTok gonna be wild after this show.
special shout out to Jeremy. He tends to really dislike me, so I just want to say I love you, Jeremy. And this is
Jeremy, Jeremy Eat World.
yeah,
Blow all the kisses to him.
Yeah, love him,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yes,
Shut
Jeremy.
up, wherever Jeremy is.
Oh, I love him
Does-
too. I just love to like. I told him the other day. I was like, I'm gonna
homie.
climb over his wall of hate. And
Oh,
it's gonna
shoot,
be
hold on, Jack.
glorious.
No, Jeremy doesn't hate anybody. He's just a
No, I
troll
don't
in the
think so.
comments.
Yeah.
Jethro,
It's
what's up,
fun.
my guy? What are you doing?
Yo, what's up? What's poppin'?
Hey,
Just walking my dogs. It seems like I always walk my dogs when I fall up. I don't know
You
why.
do.
You do. What?
So if I lose you, I just wanted to get a quick question. Joe, I missed you in the beginning. I don't know how long you guys been on for. I've been power washing my deck. I'm getting ready for the summer.
Power wash.
Were you? Did you quote unquote come out to your family?
Yeah, I came out.
How old were you?
It was last year.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She didn't go through the journey of coming out as gay because she's not gay. So she never had to
Right.
go through the, hey, I got to tell my parents I like dudes.
I mean, I'm kind of gay now because I like girls. I don't but no. I came out to them privately. Just said, hey, I've got gender dysphoria. Like that was back in like 2023. And then I came out publicly to extended family in 2024 when the same time I did to my like civilian employer and just generally, and I started like going out as a woman daily 2024. So I'm pretty new into the world and into the community and stuff. And yeah.
Is your family background more conservative or more liberal?
Very conservative. My dad worked for Pat Robertson at the Christian Broadcasting Network. So
Oh, wow.
church twice a week,
Yeah, happy.
Pentecostal, all of that.
Wow, Pentecostal.
Yeah,
Church all day.
pretty much.
Church-
Felt like it. We had to get to the buffet though, so we had to cut it short some days. But
Had to get to the buffet.
no,
Pause.
they still yeah. They still talk to me.
the most important part of church is the buffet.
But no, they still talk to me. They tell me they love me and stuff. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. I haven't seen them in person since transitioning, and so I'll be seeing
wow.
them this year. But no, they tell me they love me and that they're they don't want me to experience all the hate and stuff that's been happening. But they also probably don't agree that I'm living this way either. But we find a way to keep the door open. And I think part of that is because I'm not going to browbeat them for using a pronoun or a name or whatever. So I just give them an unlimited pass and a huge open door and said, I'm here. I love you all, and I want it to work, and I'm not gonna come at you for anything, and ask away.
Man,
Oh, great, awesome. Yeah, no, I'm not going through the same thing, but it's kind of similar. My son, he came out to us about maybe 3 years ago, and it's just a weird dynamic because a lot of the kids now in 11th going to 12th grade, they getting boyfriends, getting girlfriends, and he's always worried, not worried, but like, I want to find a boyfriend. It's just like a different dynamic, especially in like a conservative town like here, and the I guess the pool of the people who he could date is a lot smaller than like the general population. He just has to find the right person. Plus, he does dance, so he's always around girls. He's never really around guys.
he's in the
So that's
wrong area of Long Island. Like there's
Yeah.
there's
I was gonna say, you sound like you're in New York, so you must be Long Island if it's conservative. So
Yeah.
it's just the wrong area of Long Island. If you guys lived out here by us, it's way more. Like it's just I don't know why, it just is. I guess they ran away from Nassau County, but like they're all out here. It's just where you are.
But yeah, no.
Well,
So it's just a little bit of different dynamic, and we always, he's going to be going to college in less than 2 years, so he's going to find his way, and we support him whatever he does. And it's funny because he told me, like, I was sitting on my couch, and he's like, "I just want to tell you something, and I just want to tell you I'm gay." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, what else?" He said, "That's it." I'm like, "Yeah, we've always known that
That's
you're
awesome.
gay. And
Yep.
we support you and love you." And
I love that
yeah, no,
response.
yeah, no big deal. So, all right, I just wanted to get that little topic out of the way. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Be safe, and thanks for sharing, Joe.
yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thanks, Jet.
We love you.
We love you.
Yeah, when I came out to my
Later, love you
stepdaughter,
too.
it was so funny. I came out to her and I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know," and told her everything. And she said, "Well, I always figured you were gay or something."
Yeah.
I was sending some signal I didn't know I was sending. I was trying so hard to be a dude, and I guess it just wasn't working. So
We all do that too.
Jan Clark. Jeremy's just scared because
'Cause he's
he's
attracted
attracted
to
to
you.
you.
it's so
So
true. And you know what, Jeremy? I love you. So it's all good. It's all good. I like the trolling too. I troll as well.
I love that. Does it make it difficult with your because you say that you have gender dysphoria and you claim that, and you know that that's part of your transition story or whatever. Is it difficult to deal with your dysphoria and not have the bottom surgery?
No, because I wasn't like heavily dysphoric about that area. I didn't like spontaneous erections and stuff, not to get too like specific, but there were certain things that bugged me about it. And so once I got on hormones and my testosterone levels came down and my estrogen went up, a lot of the things I didn't like about that anatomy went away. So now it became something that if I wanted to use it, I could, but otherwise it wasn't in my way, so to speak. And so I could kind of go about my life and feel and think the way I wanted to. It was kind of like a clarity that came about once the testosterone came down, like the impulsivity went down, the aggression went down. And so everything just got easier because I was no longer fighting against my hormones in the way I wanted to be. And now it was just so much easier.
Is that I see so much in trans men that like their voices, they get on the hormones or whatever, and their voices change fairly quickly, like within the year. Is that different if you, because I would assume for trans women, if you cut it off and you don't have the balls anymore and you don't have that testosterone anymore, it would be easier for your voice to change. Does your voice ever bother you?
So it's weird.
Would that be the
Today-
last thing that you?
Yeah, today it bothers me a little bit more because I've been having like a chest cold, and so I feel like more DJ raspy old man voice than normal. There is voice training, and I used to do like singing lessons, so I know how to pitch and vocalize higher. It's just because I'm so new into transition, it's just not natural or second nature for me to speak differently. And believe it or not, when I'm doing flying and like talking on the radios, having a command voice is very important, and women tend to get ignored when you hear that voice come over the
Oh,
radio. You don't really
okay.
punch through. There is some misogynistic, I think, elements to
Wait,
it
can you
as
not hear
well.
her? Joe's mic has gone quiet. Can you not
Has it?
hear her? Or are you
Can
just
you not
being
hear
a?
me?
I can hear you.
I can hear
Can you
you.
guys hear her? Are you guys being? Are you messing with me, Jake?
Check 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Go ahead, and they'll tell me if they can't hear you.
Yeah, and so voice is
Okay.
like one of those things on like the back burner, and like I could work on it. I can at times, but when I step out into the world and start talking to people, I just kind of flip right back into what 35 years of used to speaking. But hormones won't change that for someone born as a man who's transitioned to a woman, because testosterone during puberty actually thickens your vocal cords, and that's what gives men their deep voice is testosterone. Because vocal cords are like, fibers and muscles and stuff, and so they enlarge, and that's what makes them deeper. And so in order to undo that, it would require surgery. But for women who transition to men, introducing testosterone thickens their vocal cords for them. But it's a one-way street. So once they become thickened, you can't thin them out without cutting them. So there's no hormone that will thin your voice out. It's all about voice training and or surgery if you want a higher or softer voice.
That's wow. Okay. Cool. Good to know. I've always seen
Yeah.
that, and that's been the trans men detransitioning. Has always been their thing. Like I can't ever get my voice back.
Yeah, they're
But
stuck
I
with a
get
deep voice because they've been poisoned by testosterone, as I call it.
poisoned by testosterone.
Well, their vocal cords, yeah.
Mhm.
It's permanent. Yeah.
You're in the, or do we want to keep going down this
Well,
route?
I wanted to ask
Go
when
ahead,
it
'cause
comes to hormones, like, do you feel like I think you said earlier that there might be a little bit of a misconception or misinformation around certain things. Do you feel like the hormones and the testosterone and do you think that we're giving or receiving a lot of the information? The cat, get it. Do we think do you think that they're giving us all the information? Because when you hear the stories that are like, hormones are not going to do anything and they're not going to change anything and they're just going to make this person feel better because they're unhappy, and there's not really a conversation when it comes to sterilization and hormone
Right.
changes. It's the same thing with birth control. Women are like, here, have birth control, and it's going to help you with your acne and it's going to prevent you from getting pregnant. And you hear that and you're like, okay, well, I'm 16. I don't want to get pregnant. But what they don't tell you is the longer you take it, the more sterilized you are. So are we getting enough information? Is the information getting twisted around, like, or both?
Well, so in Virginia, where I live, it's informed consent. So they read off all of the basically side effects, which is what you're talking about, and then also the effects you get for taking hormones, and you agree to it as an adult. Like, yep, that's what I want. So
Mhm.
it's tough, right? Because like if you're sitting with a doctor and they're like, "Hey, I think this thing could help you. Let me tell you all of the side effects." I feel like a lot of people just don't listen to that part. They
yeah,
hear they hear a solution is in front of them, so I don't care.
They want it right
Um,
now.
yeah.
yeah, they want
They
it.
want the
Yeah, they
fix
want it right
right
now.
now.
They don't really
They
think about it. So like my doctor warned me like, "Hey, you should freeze some sperm if you ever want to have kids later, like because you might not be producing any and you might not be able to get it back even if you stop hormones." They're finding that some trans women, if they stop for like 6 months, they can actually get a decent sperm count back, and they
Oh,
could still
Oh,
like impregnate. But the data is really limited on that because there's not a lot of studies of long-term cross-sex hormone usage. So it's really a lot of guessing. We're guessing. We don't know if you're permanently sterile or not. Um, and then, of course, a lot of trans women get their testicles removed and stuff. And of course, they won't get it back then. And also, if they
right.
stop hormones, like they'll become unhealthy because they're no longer producing. Um, but as far as like testosterone, it's harder with testosterone with trans men, I think, because estrogen's not a performance enhancing drug. Like, if anything, it makes you perform worse as far as general health and everything else compared to having a whole bunch of testosterone. So for a trans man or a woman who's transitioning to a man and they get prescribed testosterone, it tends to have a euphoric effect. Like it makes them feel really good because you're literally injecting a performance enhancing drug into your system. So
Yeah.
of course it's going to feel good. And I think sometimes that's confused as this is the right choice. Whereas with trans women, if we take estrogen and it feels good, it's most likely an indicator that it's the right choice, because anyone who isn't trans and is a man would not want the effects of estrogen because it makes you more lethargic. It makes you not as strong. It makes you recover like shit in the gym. Like,
For
oh my
real.
God,
Yeah.
let me tell you though, yeah, DOMS is so bad now. Like, y'all, I don't know how you all do it. Like, it's been so hard, and it's only been a couple years for me. So I like work out really hard. I'm like, oh, I feel really good. And then like for days I'm sore. I'm like, this never happened before. Like this is
Oh
Yeah.
my God, all the time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
All the fucking time.
Yeah, my recovery is shit now compared to
Yep.
before. So
Dude,
I
I'm
managed to maintain most of the strength, but my endurance and recovery is just trash now.
Hey, did you ever? So when I was coming out in high school, I can remember that I had like people that I looked up to, right? Like I wanted to be Xena Warrior Princess. I wanted to.
Who didn't
like,
want to be Xena?
Be with.
No,
Yeah.
I wanted to be her and date the little blonde girl that was on the show.
Oh, I thought you
with-
wanted to be with.
No, I wanted to be Xena. Xena was tall and
Right.
looked like me, and I just wanted to be Xena and date the little blonde girl, which I did. I found the redhead. Like,
Oh, there you
so
go.
right. And then I would what's her face in Laura Croft Tomb Raider?
Yep.
Angelina Jolie. I wanted to date her bad. Like there was and it was just and it just kept going over time. So I'm kind of curious.
You're like your gay awakening? Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about?
like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like so did you watch like Pose or Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar? Do you remember that one with Patrick Swayze and
No,
Lou
I
Di-
don't remember those, but like I remember just always being drawn to strong female characters. So Laura Croft and Xena, all those people really drew me to them. And I didn't realize until later in life and transitioning, like how much of that was like I couldn't tell sometimes the line between attraction and envy. Like, oh, I'm really
okay.
attracted to them, or am I just
Tu
really
Wong Fu.
envious?
Oh, yeah,
I
that
never
one.
saw that one.
Was
Oh,
Wesley
it's so
Snipes?
good.
Girl, it's so good.
That's
Such a
before
good
Gay,
my
show.
time.
straight, trans. It was
Well, I
good.
grew up in a religious household, so I didn't get. a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of-
no, never mind. You
No
never saw
movies
that.
for
No.
you.
Right. No, I had
No.
movies. They were just heavily edited. So, but definitely nothing like that. No.
Mhm.
Yes, Matt, I did all the time. I had her freaking picture on my wall. That was when all the
I love Laura Croft for sure.
that's when all the baseball player pictures and basketball like Michael Jordan came off the wall and Angelina Jolie went up on the wall. That's when that
There you
happened.
go.
Yeah, of course you wanted to smash China, Jake. Of course you did. That's fair. But no,
I mean,
nothing.
most CrossFit girls, like, gosh, strong, powerful women. Like, as I was getting into CrossFit, I remember that being like a huge envy thing. Like, it was never like, well, I mean, obviously they're attractive because I'm attracted to women, but it was also like, gosh, I wish I could wear that outfit, or I wish I could wear those
Oh,
shorts.
okay.
So I wish I could look like that. And as I got fitter, and I started seeing changes in my body, I remember that made my dysphoria worse because I was starting to look even more like masculine.
Oh, okay.
During that time, and I was kind of like, no, like I want to wear cute shorts and I want to like be cute in the gym, like, and I couldn't. So I remember that was always tough. But yeah, CrossFit women, whew.
Jethro. Wait, I had MJ all over my wall. I'm gay. Welcome to the party. Just don't put Deadpool on your wall.
I mean, isn't everyone in
that's
The
gay.
Mummy, like everybody in the late 90s, the movie The Mummy, isn't that like everybody's gay awakening? Like everybody's hot in that movie.
Everybody's hot in that movie.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Rachel
Yep.
Weisz,
Yep.
Brendan Fraser,
Sure.
the
Yep.
guy who played the Mummy, I forget his name.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
the guy with like the tattoos under his eyes that was like the protector or whatever. Like even he
Yeah.
could get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my-
Jonathan, the British brother that was kind of goofy, he could get it too.
Joe, Kenneth DeLapp had Kelly Clarkson on his wall. What does that mean?
Is he young?
He's
like
straight.
Kelly Clarkson's.
He's
like,
he's about your
ours.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I mean, she's cute. Like I had Avril Lavigne. Like that was a big one.
Yes.
Oh, that means you're gay.
Yes.
You're gay if you have
I was
Avril
like, I
Lavigne
want to
on-
be her, and I want to be with her. Like,
Her-
it's
yeah,
a weird thing.
She's
happening,
a weird dynamic. So was the one before her. something little pill. What was
Oh.
the name of that album?
Just like
Oh,
a pill?
Pink?
Pink?
No. Damn, she looks just like Avril Lavigne. What is her name?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm gonna mess.
But they're
okay,
all
go ahead.
calling like Billie Eilish like
Is
the
there like Alanis Morissette or somebody?
Yes. Ironic.
Oh,
ironic. All that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you liked
Yep.
her, you were gay as shit. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, she was.
Thank you,
everyone's
Jethro,
gay
Alanis.
awakening.
Yep. Yeah, that's a gay awakening right there.
and all of her
That
songs
was like my first.
were gay songs.
That was
Everyone's
like the
they're not, but they were so many.
That was the
anthems.
first girl I was ever with, and we both told each other like we're straight, but we would only be with each other. Like we only have
Right.
feelings for, but we're.
I said
that was
to
the
my
Alanis
ex, too.
album. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I crush on Brandy Carlisle. Like I like the
Yeah.
older women, so
That her story was crazy. She had a document. Her son did a documentary on her
Yeah.
recently, and that was amazing. You would remember, babe, if you saw her.
Who is it?
Brandy Carlisle. You know, we watched that. We both
yeah,
cried because we
she's
knew all the
gorgeous.
songs.
and she's talented. Double
she,
threat.
yeah, she's the blonde lady. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Pretty, and she can read.
Yes. And sing and write songs. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yes. I remember. Yeah.
So all right, we wanted to go into, I do want to talk about it. You talked about how your religious upbringing and it was super conservative and
Yeah.
and now you're going into Judaism.
Yeah.
And I would have to assume that with a conservative like Christian upbringing, they don't really like us so much in the, Does-
Judaism's pretty egalitarian, and
yeah, what's
very-
the rules for that?
Well, it depends on like there's it's a spectrum, like
okay.
you have the Orthodox, which is a little bit more strict and maybe not so open depending on which communities you're in. Then you have the more Reform, which is very open to queer people in general, and very supportive. And then what I'm attending what's called a conservative synagogue, so it's kind of like in the middle. Conservative, not like political, but conservative in the sense of rituals and the language, the Hebrew language, and certain things.
Kosher,
And-
all that stuff.
Yeah, and so they're not Orthodox, so they're not that strict, but they're also not Reformed, so they're not that like loose. And so it's a nice balance of both, because I'm a very moderate person, and so like it fits my style. And they're open, so like the head rabbi is a female, and she's my age, and she's very welcoming of queer people in the conservative movement, which is nice. But yeah, like my hobby lately is just collecting identities that people hate. So I figured trans,
Why not?
and then and now I'm converting to Judaism. So like I'm into CrossFit. It's like there's a whole that's like a cult too.
Yep.
I really like Nickelback and Coldplay. That's
Yes.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nickelback, baby.
Not
so, like,
here.
I
We
feel like if I
Nickelback.
became vegan, like it would just break the
it would
internet,
tip
right? Like,
everybody over.
You know
Just
what's hilarious
piss
is
everybody off.
is that was like the one thing. So I remember Sevan. I told him, I was like, yeah, my dad's black, like I'm half black and I'm a lesbian and I'm 6 foot tall and whatever. And he's like, please God, tell me you're Jewish. And I was like, no, sorry, I can't give you the trifecta. Like you can only get 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
That's right. I'm like a DEI hires like wet dream.
dream.
'Cause I'm also a veteran. Yeah, I'm also a veteran. So.
Every single box.
that one.
Colleen only has female. She doesn't have any other ones, but you and I got a couple, and you got the most. So you're
Yeah, there we go. I'm winning. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're
it.
winning.
That's it.
Virginia.
Virginia.
Yep.
Lives in Virginia.
Coldplay are so gay.
So good,
Hey,
though.
what did you? Speaking of that, before we go back to the Judaism thing, what did you? The guy that was talking about orgies this morning, bi? I think he's bi.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right.
You have to be a little bit for orgies. You have to be a little bit, even if you don't. I think even if he probably doesn't sleep with men, he has to be very comfortable being around and like a loose dick maybe coming in contact with them. Like orgies are not super controlled from what I understand. So like, yeah, you have to be very open-minded. So I would assume bi-curious, if not fully bi. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. That's what I thought too. I wanted to text back and be like, he's not super gay, but
Yeah.
there's a tendency in there. Like you got some
You don't have
tendencies.
to be gay to be comfortable around dicks. Like I feel
If
like
you're-
locker rooms are like that.
We've learned that from all of the men that we have met through Stefan's
I think they're
chat.
comfortable with like slap dick shit, but to
Right.
touch a dick in a sexual way is pretty gay.
True. I mean, if you don't look him in the eye during, is it still gay?
If you, oh, Jake, where are you? Answer that question,
Is it
Jake.
gay?
Is it gay if you look them dead in the eye when you do it? If you look away, ask Diddy.
I mean, it's just funny because like as soon as they get into prison, everyone starts fucking each other, and they're all dudes, but they're not gay. So it's like there's a line that gets crossed, I think, right at some point where it becomes a
Yeah, but
power
that
and
becomes a
pleasure thing.
necessity, right? They're doing that out of
They're
necessity.
gay out of necessity, right? Like, so it's like, so
Sorry,
doesn't that mean that every guy is capable of being bi? If every guy in that situation will start fucking other
we
dudes?
better stop this. We're gonna lose the chat. Let's go back to
Lose the chat. They want to ask
Oh,
these questions.
okay.
I mean,
If you're on an island and
David
there's only
Reed.
dudes, and then there's me, is it still gay? No.
Oh,
Is it?
ooh,
If
I
it's
don't
me
know.
or a bunch of straight men. No.
yeah. Oh, okay. If you're on an island with only dudes and Joe Ellis, and you sleep with Joe Ellis, is that gay?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a lesser degree of gay, right?
I would say yes. I would. I'd be like, no, I'm not gay. Like if I was a dude, I'd be like, nope, I'm not gay.
Well,
Here
I
we
think there's
go.
a misconception. Like you don't have to use everything that's you don't have
Available
to eat
you.
everything on the buffet to still get a good meal,
I mean, yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like I'm capable of more than just that.
Oh, but listen, okay.
It's Tyler
Stop.
Watkins, gay.
She's gonna start turning me on. That's not okay.
That happens in a tent at Rogue.
Okay. Gay.
I mean, who's going to Syndicate? I'll be there. I got an Airbnb with a hot tub. Let's do this.
I want to know how many men you have in that hot tub while you're at Syndicate. By name. You got to get names.
Dude, the best things have happened in a hot tub. I can attest to that. I
Oh my
was
God.
in high school in the 90s. So yeah, hot
I used
tubs.
to live in that area, so I'm gonna meet up with some old high school friends, which is pretty cool in Knoxville.
And they're totally like they're like all your friends from high school.
Well,
that
yeah,
knew-
because they're girls. Like the girls are all every
Oh,
girl I've come
yeah,
out
yeah.
to has been totally cool with it. Because I think now I'm no longer a threat.
Is Joe going to the games?
No. Well, it depends. I'm supposed to get kicked out of the military, and if that happens before August, then I will be able to go to the games. But if not, I'll actually be on training during that time.
Oh shoot, is that that's your lawsuit that's happening right now, right?
No, that's something else entirely. I'm
Oh,
suing.
well-
I'm suing one of the persons that defamed me online in federal court.
Oh.
Yeah. There's
Get
other
'em, girl.
lawsuits. Yeah, there's other lawsuits for the trans military ban, but I'm not a plaintiff in those. Not named. as
What's
a
the def?
plaintiff.
If you can say, what was like was it just saying that was you in the plane, or saying that trans women can't fly planes, or like
Yeah,
was
so
the-
Matt Wallace on X has about 2.5 million followers,
oh
and we believe, and this is in the lawsuit filing, we believe that he was the first one to tie my likeness to the rumor. We don't know if he started the rumor, but he's definitely the first one to start using my images, and he was the biggest account that got it out there and did the most damage.
damage?
Yeah. So like there's a good argument that maybe if he hadn't shared it, like, you know, my life wouldn't have been upended that weekend, and I wouldn't have had to hire private security and kind of all the stuff that went down. So but yes, that's the lawsuit that's happening.
Oh, you had to actually. If you win, can you fly me out to the games, please?
What? Oh, the lawsuit.
The lawsuit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm donating all the proceeds to the victims, the families of the crash. So
Oh, wow.
I'm not doing this to make any money. I'm just doing it to hold someone accountable for basically like defaming me. Like there has
Yeah.
to be accountability, right? Like, you know, loose fingers on keyboards like these days can be life or death for people.
And I mean,
Especially
if that-
for people like me, it's like already a target, right?
If that leads to you having to have private freaking security, was that like everywhere you went?
So that was for the weekend that it happened, because in Virginia, property records are publicly available.
Oh, wow.
And there's no way to mask that without like making LLCs and doing shell corps and stuff. So they started doxing my old pre-transition accounts and my old names and my legal name. And so I was worried because my family lives at some of my properties, and my civilian employer was really kind, and they actually provided private armed security for me for that whole weekend just to watch the residents and keep everyone safe. I conceal carry. I'm very pro Second Amendment, so like I wasn't worried, but I was more worried about someone else getting hurt on my account. And
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
of
would be,
course.
that'd be devastating.
Yeah.
So like, no, I have a closet full of guns, so like I'm good. Come at me, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Love
Like,
it. I
because
love
they
it.
don't just go after you, they go after everyone
Right.
that surrounds you, all of your family, any piece of information that they can get, they go
Yeah.
after everybody.
Well, I'm recognized in public now because I'm only 90 miles from DC. So it's like when I go out, I don't know if I'll be recognized by someone who's sympathetic or someone who absolutely hates the idea that I exist. And so I have a target on my back now more so than ever because of this person I'm suing. And before this, I wasn't known to the world. I wasn't
That's
everywhere all
crazy.
over. Like, so like
That's
I,
so
I was a very
crazy.
private individual. It's not like I already had, a big platform.
No,
Like,
it's not like you have 25 million people on Instagram. It's not
right,
like
yeah. So like a public person suing a public person for defamation is really hard to do. So like Jake Paul, for example, I think he's being sued or suing someone, but it's tough because they already have huge profiles that get attacked all the time, and it's considered kind of
Right.
like it's considered like it comes with the territory. But me, I was this obscure person who had no following, so I was kind of like drug into
right.
this fame, so to
Madness
speak.
and
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
and so like I never had to so and I can't even be a private person now. Like I can't just go back into hiding now
Yeah.
because I'm all over the place. I'm all over the internet. So my only choice is to fight back. But yeah, that's kind of like what happened.
Conceal carry, we know.
Yeah, I'm always packing.
Yeah.
I'm always
That's
packing
right.
something.
That's right.
Always packing something.
Yeah, that's crazy. Back to the Judaism thing, because
Yeah.
this kind of blows my mind, because most of the LGBTQ, like, they don't want anything to do with religion in any way, shape, or form.
Religious trauma.
Yeah, and that's Colleen. And so the fact that you found,
Hey, at least I listen now. I was
Yeah.
at a point where like I didn't listen, I didn't want to hear anything about religion, but like now I'm able
You
to
don't
sit
listen to
down.
Froning's podcast, Into the Storm?
I do
Get your
not.
devotional.
No.
I do not. I do not.
if he's talking about sports, she's listening to it. If he's
talking about CrossFit and CrossFit drama, I'm listening to that
Same.
Rich Froning podcast, but not the religion. I just started Garrett has a very strong faith. So I ask
Oh.
her questions and I talk to her about religion and stuff like that. But like me personally, like I'm not Catholic. I don't follow a religion. I just, if we're talking about something or I hear something, I'm like, hey babe, like, can we talk about this? So I talk about it with her.
Plus,
before I
we've
didn't.
had some mindset coach drama happening recently, and there's been a couple some
Okay.
bad press releases that have happened. So it's been difficult to have religious conversations lately.
Well, I love it. Politics and religion. Let's do it.
So I would have thought that, because Judaism basically believes in the Old Testament, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Which
the Old
I've-
Testament is like their Bible. So the New Testament, because Jesus isn't considered the Messiah in the Jewish faith.
Well, I feel like the Old Testament has way more rules and way less forgiveness in it. So like,
It
what
does, but they
got you
also
there?
have they also have another text that is a lot of the prominent rabbis back in the day. They wrote a commentary on what we call the Old Testament, or what they call the Torah.
Okay, thanks,
And
Kenneth.
so that commentary is like a debate of how to be Jewish. And so what I love about Judaism is that it's always up for debate and always up for discussion, and they encourage it. There's an old saying, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And that's what I love. I love it
Yeah.
because it's not set in stone. It's a living document. And so while the Torah is set in stone because it's been written, and the Talmud is an attempt to explain it, and then there's still further interpretation and questioning that can happen. And so I love that. I love the idea, because in the evangelical world, if you question the pastor, it's because God said so. Like, how dare you question it? It was very much shutting you down for pointing out inconsistencies or anything. And Jewish faith, I've never been met with that. So I've been going to classes every week, and and learning as part of my conversion process.
What made you even want to? Because I mean, we just talked about like religious trauma or whatever, and you obviously come from that with the evangelical, or I don't know what that is even. I was Methodist. I have no idea. But like you had some trauma and so you went and in search of another faith. Like what
Yeah,
because
I
most people
wouldn't
are
say I
like,
had trauma. I mean, like, not really, because I wasn't gay. So like, I didn't have that trauma growing up. I didn't know what I was,
oh, okay, right.
right? But
Okay.
like, I knew I was doing something that was considered sinful when I would steal my sister's clothes or whatever, and I didn't understand why I was doing that either, and I didn't have any language to explain it. But as far as like, I've always admired Jewish people and their faith and their customs and culture. And I grew up around a lot of what they call Messianic Jews. And those are Jews that do believe in Jesus as the Messiah. So they do have the New Testament as well, but
Oh, okay.
they also practice more of the traditional like services and stuff that Jews do as well. And non-Messianic Jews tend to not like Messianic Jews. There's like a whole rift there. But I did get exposed to like Passover Seders and Shabbat and different things that Jews do. And so as I kept growing up and I would visit certain sites, like in Europe, I went to Poland and I visited Auschwitz, which is, the probably the largest death camp that existed during World War II, and Schindler's Factory, from, if you ever seen Schindler's List,
Oh
and
yeah,
just
I've read all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yep.
Jewish ghetto in Krakow,
Yep.
and like I just always had such an admiration for the Jewish people, because through all of their hardships, through all of their genocide and things that happened to them, they're such a kind and peaceful people and welcoming of people. And I just found that very admirable. And so I never thought I could be a part of it, because I was, raised Christian and that was what I was supposed to be. But when I started transitioning, I still wanted to keep some sort of religious practice. And since I wasn't really welcome in the old circles I was used to being in, I said, well, like, now's a good time as any to check out this Judaism thing and just see what it's all about. And I started attending services and taking classes, and I just really, really fell for it. And like I said, like, new gender, new religion. So
There are sets of there obviously there are groups of Christians out there that don't accept us or our lifestyle
sure.
or whatever and they really don't like us. It's not even those groups of people that are like, "Hey, you're probably going to go to hell, but we love you and we're going to be around you and you're cool and we're going to be friends and like whatever." Like that's fine. But there are actually groups of Christians out there that would like want us to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is there that in does this mean all of the Jewish religion accept you or just kind of the
No,
group that you
there's
found?
like, yeah, there's definitely Orthodox and ultra Orthodox and like the Hasidic groups that wouldn't accept even if you were gay, for example. Um, they wouldn't like punish you for it or anything, but they would just be like, well, you can never marry because it's not good for a gay person to marry, but also it's not acceptable for you to be married to a man if you're a man, for example.
Right.
And so, and then there's the more liberal and more reform, congregations like the ones that I attend. Just like there's some Christian churches that, have rainbow flags outside their doors
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
very accepting. So yeah, it just depends. But most of them, I think, are just tolerant, if not welcoming.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Uh Kenneth the Lap, do trans people ever get to a point where they feel like they look on the outside like they always wanted to on the inside, if that makes sense the way I said it? So have you gotten to a
Um,
place now where the kind of the dysphoria doesn't bother you anymore? I think that's what you're asking, right, dude? Like you
yeah, that
see what you want
sounds
to
right.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my dysphoria is resolved. Like, I don't have it anymore because I am living the way that is comfortable. Um, Now it's, you have to make sure you separate the what everyone feels like. Oh, I don't like my nose, or I don't like this about me. Like, that stuff still exists for like, people, like they do in general. I could lose more weight, all the kind of standard stuff. But as far as the actual dysphoria feelings, or what I call like the deep, sad homesickness, is what I call it, of like not being in the right place, that's gone. And so I look back at like old photos and I'm just like, wow, like I've come so far and like I feel so comfortable now. And I remember how uncomfortable I used to be, but how normal it was to be so uncomfortable all the time. And I described this in another podcast of like hiking with a boot that isn't broken in or it doesn't quite fit.
Mm.
And you do that for so long because you can still move, you can still hike, but it's like bugging you. But after a while, you can kind of ignore it, and then someone hands you a boot that is broken in and fits your foot perfectly, and you're like, why the fuck did I hike so long with those shitty boots? This is so much better. And so that was kind of like when I knew that my dysphoria was gone. I was like, this is so much better. Like even in spite of all the hate and all the craziness that I would have never expected to receive with the rumor, my life is still so much better than it was in my like just daily going through life. And I had a great life before. Like I said, I didn't transition to get a better life. It just made my life so much easier.
I get that.
So
Because, baby, was that you? Like, I felt like that too before coming out and just being with women, like pretending to be straight and pretending to like dudes and pretending to, go to a prom with a guy like that.
yeah, I mean, for me, like I dated men.
Once that stopped, I was good.
Like I dated men all throughout high school, and I, dated men in the first couple years of college, and then I met my ex, who's a woman, and was with her, and again, kind of like all of these new feelings and emotions and holy shit and whatever. And then I was with her for a couple years, and then I met Garrett, and I've been with Garrett for 13 years. We've been together and married. But for me, it was more like it's just what I knew. I didn't think of anything differently. But then kind of I look back and I'm like, was I staring at her ass because I was admiring her or because I liked it? So like I looked back on those things, like, did I look at her body because I wanted that body, or because I liked that body? You know what I mean? So like I would have those moments where you kind of like, maybe, not sure. But I had a lot of trauma with men too. And I went through, I'm starting to get it back. I didn't trust men for a very long time. And I actually didn't enjoy sleeping with men, but that was just part of the story. It was part of the trauma. It was part of the story. I was just supposed to. I didn't really grow up. A couple of my cousins came out, but it was much later. It wasn't really a part of my family or my school that I remember. It really wasn't a thing. And then again, I had my own history and the trauma that I've been through and the distrust in men. And then I'm sure, which is part of it. But then I realized very quickly when I started sleeping with women that I really enjoyed sleeping with women. And I am not sexually attracted to men. I can appreciate a good looking man, but it's about the gender. It's about the equipment that they have for me now. There's nothing about.
Yeah, Bryson's hot. We can appreciate that Bryson's hot. Having to pretend you think a penis is attractive, it is hard. It is, like,
so there's
when you try to catch your face, like when
each one takes a little bit out of you. You just close your eyes. So Colleen, how does that? Do you think there's some of the, and I'm just guessing as an outsider, do you think some of your hesitation with realizing you were gay was because there tends to be a common thread among women that sex isn't that enjoyable with men, and it's normal to not really be into it? Like, I'm guessing, did any of that play as a factor? Because I've heard that before.
I mean, it could have. And I think that I was only able to kind of make the comparison because when I started sleeping with women, I realized how much more enjoyable it is and how
I could like that. Yeah.
How much I really like it. Especially with my wife, and I'm going to make her blush completely as she is sitting right here.
I'm already blushing because Joe's on the show. I've been blushing the whole show.
But a bigger hurdle that I had to get over was the stigma around coming out as a dance teacher. So I was a competitive dancer growing up, technically trained ballet, tap, jazz, all that type of stuff. And then I became a teacher. And when you are gay, there is this stigma around, now it's inappropriate. I'm staring at your children. I'm correcting them. exactly. I'm correcting them. I'm adjusting and helping them with their
Gym teachers, remember gym teachers? Like
Right,
they
and
were,
we
if
all
you were a
had one.
female PE
And we all
teacher,
had
she was
one.
automatically a
You
predator.
know, so for me, it was more around getting through that psychological, and not saying that anybody did, but there was that stigma that and the noise around that conversation and that situation where it did take me so long. But also, too, everything was new. Everything was new. My ex was out for a lot longer than I mean, she was out and I was not. And as much as you're understanding, she was understanding that I was slowly coming out and trying to figure the stuff out. She wanted to push me out. And I was hesitant on that, I think, which made it a little bit harder because
that's that new generation. I don't know what it is.
she's like, you have to be out right now because
Yeah.
I am. And if you don't, then you don't love me and whatever. And I was like,
Yeah,
just
don't
slow down.
hide me type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
get that because if you have been hiding yourself for so long, I don't want to be the one that continues to hide you. But what I'm asking for is patience. And if you can't give me patience, that's also okay. Then we need to just take our times with both. You know what I'm saying? And it just felt like it was like, you need to be out right now, which again was that like push and pull that we were having because she wanted me to be out. And I was like, you just need to slow down a little bit for me.
Did you have friends that kind of knew what you were thinking and were kind of trying to push you out? Like, or no, you went through all this by yourself?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you.
Oh, no. Most people confuse me as being gay, which is so. Like I said, I that used to make me very upset. A, because of my, probably homophobia, but then B, just not understanding it. Like I didn't understand why, like basic training in the barracks. Oh, stay away from Ellis. That dude's gay, and I was just like, here's a picture of my wife. I'm so confused. Like I didn't understand what the signal was. But yeah, no one really did that for me. I did it all like very secretly, privately, just because of fear. Like I was so afraid of if someone hears about this, how they're gonna think about me. And it's funny, Colleen, I used to dance as well. When I was a kid, my sisters all danced.
Mhm.
And so I was too young to stay at home, so I would go with them to the dance studio, and they needed boys desperately to
Always.
dance. And so it was
Yep.
free. And so because I couldn't do anything else, I was like, well, yeah, I'll dance. And so I remember it was always really cool getting to dance with girls as a young
Mhm.
boy. And I did the same, like jazz, tap, hip hop, and ballet and
Yep.
stuff. So for like 7 years. And so maybe that was a little bit of my fruitiness. I don't know. But I wanted to
I'm
do
s-
karate. I wanted to do karate, but my parents were like, well, we can't afford your sister's ballet classes and karate. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just dance then because it's free.
Mhm. Yep.
Wow.
But I skateboarded a lot out back behind the dance studio, and I actually broke my wrist right before a recital, and I couldn't. I felt so bad because my partner, she couldn't dance partner. I was like 13. She couldn't dance in the recital because I couldn't dance because I broke my wrist like a week before when I was skateboarding out back.
I was
trying to be
probably
cool.
like partner tricks and whatever. So
There's a lot of lifts and spins and
Yep.
all of that.
Yep.
So.
Kenneth, what's peeing like? I would imagine it's the same as the way you pee.
I mean, I sit down so it's less messy. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I've heard that men sit down too.
Well, yeah, the pee pitch, that's what I call it. Like if I go into a women's restroom and I pee standing up, like I feel like it's a huge red flag for other women to hear that. So I definitely sit down most places because it sounds different when it hits the water. If you
Yeah,
want to
see,
be
when
technical.
It does. It really does. And
The pee pitch. the
yeah,
pee pitch.
yeah. Damn.
Oh God, women's restrooms.
Maris, I
That was a
sit
whole world
yeah,
to me
you
going in
want
there.
to. What's the
There's
weirdest
sounds
thing?
that I never thought happen, and they happen in women's restrooms. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
what
damn.
sounds have you heard? Okay, this is
All
gonna
the
be
sounds
fun.
that women would hide from me when I was a man. Like they wouldn't want to fart around me. They wouldn't like all the stuff that women do to mask themselves and make them seem perfect.
Like really poop?
Like
Oh my
really
God.
actually
Yes.
poop? Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they sound just like men. Like they sound the same. Like
Yeah.
my mom used to tell me women don't fart or make toilet sound. Like she used to tell me that when I was a kid growing up, and I
Oh,
kind of
Lord.
believed it. And I remember going in there and hearing sounds. I was like, oh my God, it's just like the boys'
Was
bathroom.
there,
And sometimes it probably smells just as bad.
Just as smelly.
Ugh.
Yeah, just as smelly. Yeah.
What is your
that's amazing. I heard sounds I've never heard.
I never like
Oh my
battleships are
God.
for real.
Even like
They
while you
are.
were married, like your
No, because
battle
she would hide
shits.
that
That's
shit from
fair.
she would hide that shit from me too.
Oh my
I'm like,
god.
why? It's
Girls
okay.
don't
if
You're
you-
don't poop.
married.
That's a
I know. I
conspiracy.
will
That's
tell her, I'm like, it's
hilarious,
okay.
dude. Holy mackerel.
Are women's restrooms really nicer than men's rooms?
Yes.
Yes.
Some are, but
Yep.
some are like, like a bus station. Like
Yeah,
there's water
yeah.
everywhere. Like everything's wet. I don't know why.
There's because we have our periods. That's why.
Yeah.
Women's
for
farts
sure.
are 10 times worse.
Yeah,
During
probably.
that specific week. Yes.
Well, you know it. Like ask any girl after a date on her drive home, like how long the fart was when she got in the car.
Oh,
A straight girl.
that's fair. Yeah, I was about to say not me, but like yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I've had
Like they just hold it and then they get in the car and they just let out the biggest fart once they're away from the guy.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, that's true.
But that
See?
also
That's
too, like
true.
after
I'm bridging the gap. I come from one side and now I'm on
There
the
you
other
go. All the
side and I'm
information.
connecting.
All the
I've got the
information.
inside scoop. You all ask me
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, this was so much fun. I really do appreciate it. I have we have to do this again. I have so
Yes.
many questions, but my kid's gonna start running around here now and
Oh,
being
gotcha.
Yeah,
It'd
we
be
got about
ridiculous.
90 minutes.
But thank
and
you,
then he.
because I'll need the help too, because we're two girls raising a boy. So I need that
Oh,
like
wow.
that we when you were telling us about spontaneous erections, I need to hear all that stuff too, because you know.
Well, they start early for boys. Watch out. They won't know
No.
what to do with it.
Well,
he
someone-
wakes up in the morning
They're like
sometimes.
dogs. They'll want to hump everything. Like
Not
Yeah.
that yet. Thank God. But the hand down his pants constantly, and now it's the
Okay.
getting naked and just wanting to be naked. And
I see you
whatever.
guys.
But hold on, before you guys ask that question,
Yeah, well-
somebody else asked, do you have children?
I have a stepdaughter. Yeah.
Okay. Because I wanted to know if you had any children of your own before you started taking the hormones.
No, not of my own, but like she was 5 when I came into the picture, and she just graduated high school this week. So she's turning 18 next month, and she's off to college with my GI Bill. So I give her my GI Bill.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's
Nice.
awesome. Yeah.
Very quickly, because this
Hey
will
guys,
probably be another.
put your questions in the chat right now while Colleen's asking this one. Then I will read the questions that you want. What do you? Yeah.
How has your child adapted to your transition? Has it been easy? Has it been difficult?
Super easy. Like she was like 16 when I came out. So like I said, she's like, oh, I always thought you're gay or something. And she's like, people show up at my school with different names and pronouns all the time. Like no big deal.
Oh, okay.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Their generation is getting that part right, at least.
Yeah.
The whatever, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's fair. Okay, so what? Where are we
Lightning
going?
round. Let's go.
Base show. My daughter and wife have the same fart smell. That was not the question that you wanted. Jake, what is the last question you want? Kenneth, what's PT test standards, male or like? Do you have to take the PT test, and do you have to take the male or the female one?
Because my gender marker has been changed, Army regulation says I have to do the female standard, but that's changing soon because they're changing everybody back before they kick us out. So,
Is that really happening?
And taking away our hormones at the same time. Yeah.
Are they really like they're really? I always wondered. Nah, shit. We're gonna go down this rabbit hole. Thanks, Kenneth.
It's happening now while the courts are deciding. They said it could move forward and they could still kick us out in the meantime.
Is that because all right, Sevon talks about it a lot, but the whole thing about can you be deployed with
I'm
meds?
deployable now. Yeah.
So the meds thing isn't a thing. That's not.
No, my brother in Iraq, he had high blood pressure, and they gave him 12 months of blood pressure medicine and sent him with his tank to the front lines. Like, it's not uncommon. Like, it's very common if you're on something that's easily you can take with you to the field that you're deployable. And so I am as well. And if I ever lost access to my hormones because I still have my testicles, I would be healthy. I would still be okay because I would start producing testosterone. I wouldn't be absent hormones. So I'm very much deployable.
Okay.
I'm very much deployable.
That makes sense.
But trans men are not.
Well, there's cis men that deploy with testosterone because they have low T.
Wait. Oh, right. So straight guys.
There's
Okay.
biological men
males
who have low T, and the military prescribes them testosterone, and they ship with that. To
and they're
deployments as well.
deployed. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, hey, dude.
That's just
Like
yeah,
so
it's misconceptions.
you're saying that
anything trans,
that anybody can take
biological.
testosterone and bring it with them.
Any kind of maintenance medicine, you're deployable.
But babe, has that changed though? Because I remember you telling stories where like you couldn't take like Advil or something.
No, that was
like,
in the
or
that
is that
was
different?
when I was in basic
joining is
training.
different. Yeah.
Basic
Oh,
training,
okay.
they won't let you take anything. You just
Oh
have to,
yeah, certain
Yeah,
training environments, unless you have a prescription. But joining has different rules, so you can't join with certain things. But if you're in and you have conditions that develop, they will do everything they can to keep you because it's cheaper to keep you than to kick you out. With the exception to trans people now, because for some reason
right.
they think it's worth $1 billion to kick
Did
us out.
anybody was anybody ever actually like after you transitioned, did you have any people that you worked with that were like, hey, you're trans, I can't work with you anymore?
No, everyone was like, yeah, cool. Like you've been serving with us for 15 years. Like we don't care.
Like you fly,
I'm still
just fly the
Joe. I'm still
helicopter.
Joe. I'm still Ellis. Like Joe was my nickname before, so it's like I'm still Joe, and I still fly the helicopter. The helicopter doesn't give a shit. So yeah.
Fair.
I mean, fair.
Fair.
Yeah. Bernie Gannon. Adults can do what they want, but do you think the government should pay for transitioning and lifetime medical support?
No, yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I paid for everything out of pocket because I wanted to be deployable right away, and I didn't want to wait for the slow-ass government healthcare to get what I needed. And so I went out on the economy and paid for everything out of pocket. Plus, I had face surgery, and like you don't want to get the military face surgeon. Like,
Right.
You don't wanna,
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like, yeah, you don't want to group on that shit.
Yeah,
so, like,
no
I got the
T-move,
best
like,
one.
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like
No T-move, yeah.
$60,000. So
Yeah, you paid out of pocket?
yeah, for my face. Yeah, because TRICARE won't cover that.
Oh, no.
TRICARE doesn't cover gender affirming surgeries. Only if you're active duty can you get a special exception for military doctors to do it. So it's real red tapey. It's not like you just say, I'm trans. All right, here's all your surgeries. Yeah, it's a
that's the
whole
other
Oh,
thing.
but
thing.
that's the narrative that they sell, though.
Yeah, that's
is
what
that-
Yeah.
They spend more on Viagra than they do gender affirming care in the military.
I saw that.
$37 million more.
Yeah.
And it might have been yours. Did you talk about this on a different podcast?
That
Dude,
was,
you
that was
Okay,
on the
I might
Daily
have-
Show.
Do
That was
not
on the
point
Daily
your
Show.
finger because it
Yeah.
looks like you're pointing at me, and I do not take Viagra. There is not like
No, that was on the Daily Show. I was on the Daily Show with Jordan
Okay,
Klepper.
yep.
Yeah.
that pilot pay, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an IT person in the real world. I just fly for the military for service, and then I'm a private pilot for leisure. So like my full-time job is just doing nerd shit.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
you're reserve or
Yeah, National Guard. for
National Guard?
Virginia.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I work
that
from
was-
home. So yeah.
Oh yeah, you get to. Oh, that's why you can't go on. Okay, I pick up what you're putting down. All
Last
right.
question.
Yeah. Anybody else? How does Joe shave her asshole?
The same way you do, Base.
That because he was like, it's about 69ing with men versus women. So,
Okay.
which is better? Because I'm sure that's probably what he wanted to ask.
Oh,
and
women are better. Women are better.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a lot in common. What we have found out in this like 90-minute podcast is that we actually have a whole lot in common. That's pretty fire.
Mhm.
That's dope.
No, y'all are awesome. Like I said, I
Oh,
would jump
appreciate
into
it.
y'all's shows and just like interact with y'all in chat, and I always liked your perspective. So
I watch you in the chat all the time. You are so hilarious. It is
I'm like trolling people all the time in chat.
it's like when the two girls were on, I think it was Hattie Canyo and her friend, and they were doing the handstand walk thing. And then after she did the handstand walk and they were like, hey, is your man cut or uncut? And she looked at her friend and her friend was like, uncut. And everybody was like, what the fuck does your friend know whether your
That's
man?
what girls talk about.
Because that's what we
girls-
do.
The first thing I asked my my spouse or partner now, like platonic partner, ex, I don't know what to call her, but we're not romantic.
Your best friend. Like she's
Yes, she
your
goes
best
on dates,
friend.
and whenever she like sleeps with someone, I'm always asking that. That's the first question I ask. I'm like, circumcised or not?
Oh, is it mostly not, or is it mostly circumcised?
Well, so far it's been mostly circumcised. I'm like, damn it, I
Oh.
want to hear a story about a non-circumcised.
Well, you can always talk to Jan. He was not circumcised his whole life, and then had something happen to him, and he had to get circumcised.
As an
Like
adult.
shit went awry, so he had to get it
Oh,
done as an
geez.
adult.
Poor thing.
That's an amazing story right there.
That's like Abraham in the Bible. Doesn't he circumcise himself like at 70 something?
Eskimo sisters.
Oh, the Eskimo sisters. Yeah, it was
Oh,
fun.
that handstand walk girl, like,
Like
God,
that was Hattie. I think
she
it was
like
Hattie
hiked
Kenya.
up her shorts before she did it too. Like,
Always.
she knew what she was doing.
So she
Always.
was showing like hip muscles and whatnot, or whatever, hip
It was
flexors.
a
I don't
great
know,
display
but
of strength and hard work.
yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Catch Jake tomorrow on
Oh, yeah,
the Savon podcast with
yeah.
Taylor.
Yep.
And then Outside the Box, Dave Lipson
Is on our channel
tomorrow. So go support.
Yep. Go help your people. And then was there another one?
Not right now.
No, I think everybody's
Everybody's
chilling
accounted
out.
for.
Jan is so tough though.
He did it himself.
Hoodie gang. Oh, David Weed. Are you Hoodie gang? Are you Hoodie gang, or do you cut?
Well,
Uncut?
if you see me at Syndicate, I've got these stickers.
Oh, Black Hawk Tua.
Shut up. That's
Just, yeah. I'm just leaning into it. So if you see me
I
there,
mean, why not?
That's amazing.
yeah, because I've got my
You got
my
your Kill Taylor
Savon.
shirt.
Yep.
Yeah, I got my
Get
shirt
it.
and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
So I'll be there all weekend running around with
I
Savon.
was on one of our shows talking about you coming on this show. Pause. And then I said the word Black Hawk, and everybody thought I said Black Cock. So
I mean,
everybody.
once you go Black Hawk, you can't.
Jeremy, where are you at? You heard it. She loves you. So don't be mad. Don't be mad.
Oh, is Jeremy Black?
Half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's
Have you seen Jeremy?
Oh, you got to see Jeremy.
I haven't seen him. No. Is he?
He's a thirst. I call him a thirst.
He throws up thirst pictures. It doesn't mean he's actually a thirst.
I'm fucking with him now so hard.
Yeah, but he's got a great ass. Like that's for sure.
I'm trying to.
Well, I'm a flirt. Like I love flirting with anybody. I'll flirt with a tree. Like,
Please flirt with
I
Jeremy.
just love flirting.
My whole life would be made if you just flirt with Jeremy every time that he's in the chat. That would just.
Hold on, let me find one of him working.
Jeremy is an orc.
Nope, not that one. I'm trying to find one. He usually.
God.
He's Mocha. Yeah, Jeremy is Mocha.
Right there.
That's with his kids. Yeah.
That's with his kids.
So see, look, all his kids look like me. Like they're white like me. Like,
He's definitely trans curious then. That explains it.
There you go.
Right here.
That explains. I do get a lot of attention.
He's very
from black
fit.
guys, so
he's very, very, very fit.
He usually is turned the other way, so you see his ass. That's why I call him
a thirst
thirst
pick. Yeah.
because
I've got a pretty decent booty, so the
there you
black guys tend
go.
to like it. So.
there you go.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for hanging out.
We're definitely gonna do this
David
again.
Reed Sevon gonna get his
Cherry popped at Syndicate.
Wow, homie.
I'm gonna give him a full frontal hug and whisper into his
Both
ear.
hands. Both
I
hands.
used to be a boy.
Put hips to hips. I mean, you might have to
Yes.
bend the knees a little bit, but hips to hips.
Oh, that's true. You'll be right at my
Dude,
right at my
boobs.
tits.
Right in
Yeah.
the boobs. Make
Yeah.
sure you
Be
wear
careful,
a low cut.
because he's always been afraid that he might like that shit.
Yeah.
So he won't watch trans porn because he's afraid he might like it.
Oh God, this is amazing.
Get a
Thank you
video.
all.
Get a video
I
of
will.
that if you or when you hug him. So
All right,
guys.
hold on. Don't log off
Yeah.
after we're hang out and talk and chat.
Okay,
Thank you
cool,
guys.
cool.
I appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Pat, man.
Go back and watch.
Yeah, you got to go back. We did religion, buddy. I love you.
Yep.
Talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Bye.
Deuces.